Evening, late night freaks. It's like 2:30 in the morning here in Detroit, and I was just chilling out here in my little studio room. It's kind of become a chill room for me, and I was just thinking, you know what? I want to pull some cards for the Aries out there. You all are having your solar return, and so I just wanted to give you a little birthday love and send a reading your way. Just looking at what's coming in for you guys as you enter this next year of your life. And I'm going to do things a little differently tonight. I'm just going to first shuffle through while I'm talking to you and just grab a few cards from each of my decks for the Aries collective. Kind of mix up the decks. Let's get a bunch of messages coming in from different sources. You all are in a very important cycle. You've been hosting Chiron, in your sign since February of 2019, and you're going to have another, retro cycle with Chiron coming up later this year that runs from July 19th through December 23rd, and you've been doing a lot of really foundational healing work. That's kind of what's been your main focus. You're doing a lot of work around childhood themes, in particular stuff around the mother, stuff around the father, what you inherited, in your upbringing, how that's affected your life, just moving forward, and how you want to shift that, where are you ready to kind of drop some of this programming and sort of look at life on your terms and define what you want it to be for yourself, rather than kind of living in the reflection of maybe what your mother wanted for you or your father wanted for you, or even what you just kind of assumed they wanted. Maybe they didn't want that at all, so we have a flyer there. A few of them want to come out of this deck. This is my arcane bullshit deck. It was the first one I was drawn to for you all, and I want to make a special note that this one fell on the floor, because when I have cards fall on the floor, I always take them as their message that really needs to be paid attention to, but nobody's looking at that. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, okay? So and it came out like this, like a crossing influence, okay? So I'm just going to set that aside, make special note of that here, okay? Now we're going to get the super awesome future cards, and we're going to bring those in because, Aries, y'all have been doing some, tough work. You all have been struggling a bit, You've definitely been in a very transformational cycle, and I feel like a lot of you have kind of been stuck in crossroads energy. You've been really confused, You've felt really conflicted and have been uncertain about what your next direction should be. And it's not easy to be in that position in your life where, nothing feels kind of certain, but it's definitely falling in your lap that you need to really just like sink into it. You need to lean into it, and you actually feel a great aversion to it. A lot of you may have been more impulsive in recent years, and kind of had times acting out of pocket, acting impetuously, just kind of having almost a like fuck it kind of mentality. But that was really to avoid what you really needed to do, which was link in deep. Link in deep. Isn't that interesting? That's not what I meant to say. I meant to say sink in deep, but maybe that's what it is, Maybe you've needed to learn how to really connect on a deeper level, with people. And, the choices you've been making have kind of been keeping you from that, They've sort of kept you going from the deeper places, in your connections with people. And, it's interesting, how does that relate to, your upbringing, your dynamic? What did you learn about, relationship in your family when you were growing up? Chiron it's such a big influence. And this month, you hosted the new moon, okay? And that's like big full energy. Full energy is, the energy associated with you. You are the initiator, you are the adventurer. You are the one who will take a risk and just sort of like put it all out on the line. We got the Paulina Tarot. This is a tarot that I use for a lot of my reads. It's not normally the type of deck I would work with. I find it a little tame. I tend to prefer spicier decks, but I've had some really great readings with this deck, and it does give very, very clear readings. And the artwork was inspired by life in New Orleans. So there may be some of you that are considering going on a trip to New Orleans. Maybe you're thinking that, you might want to explore New Orleans during the, Halloween season. That might be something that's kind of coming up for you. Might be coming in, might be calling you. You might be wanting to have a little adventure. I just got something come in that some of you may be musicians. You might get an opportunity to, sit in with a band and, do a gig in New Orleans. Get in on some of that good blues and jazz that they got going on there, and that, you actually might have a really great opportunity. This is interesting, the way those fell out. Okay, we'll take it. There's like this whole image that's forming here on the board. Ooh, oh yes, this is very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get just one more pass with the tarot. I want to give you all a real thorough read. But yeah, some of you may be musicians, and you might get an opportunity to go and jam, with a heavy hitter in New Orleans that you just can't pass up. That's coming in for somebody. Also got some of you might be dancers, and might have an opportunity to hit the stage for the big burlesque festival they got going on. Okay, it might be just one of those things that you can't pass up. Maybe it's been a while since you performed, especially with everything, that's been going on the past couple of years, but you might be feeling like, fuck it, why not? Let's get the tassels out again, okay? I feel like I got, creative people who tune in and watch my readings, and people that, some of you are performers, you're involved in that scene. And yeah, I think there's going to be some opportunities for you. It's very interesting, this big easy connection, but I feel like something really good is going to come in for those of you that are musicians. You're going to have an opportunity to connect with somebody and do some musical work with somebody that's like, you never would have expected you'd have that opportunity. And I think you're going to have to leap at it. So that's just an interesting side message coming in here. I want to also get the playing cards, because I love working with just standard playing cards. And you know why I like it? Because they're a lot like you, Aries. They're just very direct, no bullshit, no filler, just shooting straight from the hip with lots of attitude, putting it on the line, Y'all are a bit cocky, but it's okay. You kind of have to be cocky when you're the first one out of the gate, right? And you are the first ones out of the gate in the zodiac. You are the initiators of the zodiac. So, it ain't easy to be the one who always has to test the waters for everyone else. But, that's what makes you so different. And that's why you are represented by that Fool card in tarot. And we come back around to that new moon energy that was on April Fools that fell in your sign. You are the ones that, you kind of chart the course. You go out first, you are the adventurer. And I feel like some of you have kind of lost your mojo. Woo! Okay, I'm actually going to take all of these because they just came out like that, and that was just too telling. All right. I'm not going to shuffle those any further. I do feel like some of you have lost your mojo, and you know, you're really needing to get it back. You know, somewhere along the line you lost touch. You know, you lost touch with your ashe. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with that term, ashe, but it's a Yoruba term, and ashe is basically like that essence, that thing that makes you you. Okay, it's what you do that makes you feel alive when you do it. Like you feel so in your element and like, yes, this is me. Like this is how I'm meant to express myself in the world. This is how I'm meant to share myself in the world. And everybody has a shay. Everybody has it. Okay, it's not just something that's reserved for only a few people. Everybody has a shay. Everybody has it. We all have something inside of us that is meant to be shared with the world. And it's like our power. It's like our medicine. You know, it's that life force energy working through us. And that's your ashe, you know, and people have many different things that can be their ashe. Even, you know, cooking meals for people you love, that may be your ashe. You know, singing might be your ashe. Sewing might be your ashe. Writing, sitting at the potter's wheel, you know. There's all different kinds of ashe. Storytelling, you know, cracking jokes, you know, being the one that's able to break up a real serious moment with laughter. Like that alone and in and of itself is a gift. So I'm going to read these kind of like the way they all got laid out. And what we have first here is the crowning cards. And this is sort of like the overarching theme of your solar return. We're going to get way out here with the arcane bullshit cards, okay? Oh, yeah. Okay. We got some interesting dynamics here, Aries. Okay. So first of all, we have werewolf and pig making out with you're so fucking fucked. All right. And we'll get into this. And then the crossing energy is the weird tree. All right. So let's talk about this a little bit. So first of all, you know, with this werewolf and pig making out, I think that, you know, your sexual desires are being activated, you know? You know, you're sexually frustrated. That's what I'm picking up. And I think that you are really in this place where you're ready to unleash the beast. And you're feeling a little greedy about it, you know? You're feeling a little greedy about it, you know? You wanna get to porking. You know, you might even be stretched to, you know, try to make it a little romantic. You're wanting to get some of that good, you know. So much it's not normally your style, you know, but you might pull out all stops, like, you know, try to create that, like, you know, moonlit ambiance, you know. Hey baby, let me take you out to a nice dinner and we can go for a drive, you know, put the top down and have the moonlight shine down on us, and we can go parking somewhere and make out like we used to do when we were teenagers. And then I'm going to take you back home and I'm going to have you screaming my name, you know. I'm going to have you howling at the moon, baby. Oh. I think that you're really like got a strong sexual appetite, right? But with that pig energy there, I feel like you are kind of acting out of a place of vice in yourself. There's a bit of greed there, you know? there's a bit of greed that's kind of like compelling this desire, almost like you're throwing caution to the wind and you're kind of like hanging your consequences. But be careful. Be careful in the choices that you make and who you choose to go into that kind of a dynamic with, because we see here like you're so fucking fucked, man. It puts you in the belly of the beast, man, you know? And this is sort of like that energy of just doing something because it feels good in the moment, but not really thinking about the long-term effect. And that's kind of always the challenge for Aries, right? And I think this has kind of been like where you've been at the past, you know, at the past, junctures in your life in terms of like relationships and romantic involvements, where maybe you have been kind of impetuous and you've been sort of a fly by the seat of your pants type of person, where you've just sort of wanted to just sample, like all of life is a smorgasbord. And I just had Templeton, the rat the rat at the carnival in Charlotte's Web come into my mind, singing that song about life is a smorgasbord. You might want to look up the lyrics to that song, but I feel like that's kind of like how you have been in terms of just like sexual conquest. I am picking up this like conquest energy. It's like it feels like there's this ego component to it. Like there's been an ego component to it in the past. And maybe you haven't really considered like how your actions affected other people, or even how they were going to affect you down the line, but I think you're starting to realize like the drama that can happen when you're sort of just thinking in the moment, but you're not really considering how it's going to ultimately affect your life, and I see that, you're kind of reviewing some choices you made, and you're not feeling like those were the best choices. But I feel like this is because a big part of the crossing energy for you this year is you're really starting to kind of wake up spiritually, and you're getting in touch with your spiritual roots, and yeah, you got a bit of this goatish energy. Like you're not the type of person who's necessarily going to be drawn to traditional spirituality. You are the initiator, you are the innovator, you are the adventurer. So I actually see that you're really going to be doing a lot of exploring this year, those, in connection with those deeper parts of yourself and wanting to understand yourself spiritually on a different level. You're also going to be opening up spiritually and might be exploring, some different paths in that regard that you hadn't really considered before. So I see there's going to be a lot of expansion there. And as you move into this spiritual expansion and awakening, you're going to start realizing, how out of alignment some of your actions have been with who you truly are. And it's just that you've been so disconnected from your true self for so long. And maybe even from a very young age with that Chiron energy, and the childhood wounds coming up, that you might really feel like you're kind of like figuring out who you are and discovering who you are for the first time in your life. And for some of you, this may be a very strange experience. It might be a very strange experience to be having this, especially, if you're older, if you're in your like, 40s or 50s, you might think, am I having a midlife crisis? And maybe you are, but maybe it's time to rephrase it. Maybe it's not a midlife crisis. Maybe it's a midlife catharsis, okay? And then looking here, the super awesome future cards, we have, some other influences coming in this regard. And it's interesting because I do see that initially there was a direction you were planning on going in, and it looks like there might have been some kind of trip that was in connection with it. but it looks like this trip got put off. And I feel that's because you didn't necessarily trust the person you were dealing with this, fox energy here. Fox energy is all about stuff's being concealed. You're not seeing everything that's going on. And if you were to relate it to an energy in the tarot, it'd be very closely associated with the Page of Swords, okay? Um, and that Page of Swords is kind of like people being a little too much in your business, asking too many questions, from the people around you. And it's a sneaky energy. And it's also a very, very much an energy about, moving stealth, moving in secret, keeping, things quiet, keeping things on the down low. And you know what? For some of you, Aries, you were on the receiving end of this. For others of you, you were the ones that were moving secretly, that you were doing something that was a little shady, and you were doing it. You were doing it willingly, and because you were in this mode, it might even be connected to something sexually. It might be something like some of you may have gotten yourselves into affairs or compromising positions, that definitely could be coming up with that, pig and werewolf influence there. But we see that, there's also this rooster energy here. And what this is bringing out to me is that you put off this trip because the person you were dealing with, those of you who were the ones that were kind of sneaking around, you were dealing with somebody who was, starting to run off at the mouth too much. And you were like, you're going to fucking blow some shit out of the water for me if you go popping off and put all our shit out on Front Street. Like, you're going to fuck up a lot of shit for me. And you might have cut this person off and this trip got canceled. That's for some of you. For some of you, you've been dealing with somebody who you just didn't trust. You just felt like, something's up here. Something's not right. I don't trust this person. They give me a bad vibe. And maybe initially, you really were feeling them. Maybe you, had a real, like, kind of romantic trip planned. And it was going to be the first time you were really going to get to drop in with this person, but something just didn't feel right. And so this trip got called off. And I think that was a really wise decision, because you're actually meant to go somewhere that you've never gone before. Like, I feel like this scenario that you were kind of toying with, I'm really getting this kind of like toying energy. There does feel like there's something manipulative about it. It doesn't feel quite right, okay? It might be one of those things like where if you play with fire, you're going to get burned, You might be coming to that realization now, now that you're fucking fucked, right? But it was the right choice. It was the right choice to call that off, because you're meant to head in a whole new direction, okay, with this spaceship. You need to do a systems check. You need to get your shit in order and prepare for liftoff, okay? Because you have a whole bunch of newness coming in, and it's going to be like a whole new world, unlike anything you've experienced before. You're going to have a hunger to travel and go to new places and meet up with new faces and have some expansive experiences. And some of you, with that spiritual energy coming in, and this spiritual growth and expansion that you're going to be having on a personal level, you might want to go and check out some spiritual sites. You might want to go to Chichen Itza. You might want to go and just sit and be amid the ruins and listen to all those stones talk. You're wanting to have different kind of experiences, and I think this is a big part of you getting your mojo back. Okay. These two cards came out as crossing influence, and these are the tarot cards here. Yeah, we definitely see that there was some really deep disappointment. Could have potentially had something to do with a Leo energy. The Sun card is here, that is connected with Leo energy. For some of you, it may be disappointment around a child. Maybe some of you were, hoping to have a baby. And I just got some of you may have miscarried. And for those of you that miscarried, I'm sorry for your loss. But I'm also getting that some of you may have realized that you had a partner that had no desire to have children, and this kind of what called everything off, and it was a big disappointment. Others of you, you were involved with a Leo and you thought it was going to be this, kind of like happily ever after, the happy ending to the story. And it ended up really being such a disappointment. And you feel kind of like a time waster sort of situation. But we do see that there was some kind of deep disappointment here that really made you unhappy. And I think you might have even dealt with some depression around that, okay? Around this loss, whatever went sour. But the crossing energy behind next to this is really supportive, okay? Because what we see here is that, love will come in again with this Queen of Cups energy. We have the star here. The star, it's interesting because in this card, the star in this card is the sun. And I just love that with, here you had the sun was upside down. And it's like, okay, it might look dark right now, but, remember this light, it's still there. And it's like a guiding light. And there is a dove here that's trying to bring down, this love to fill this vessel, but you're just like you're pouring everything out. You're pouring everything out and you're looking at what was spilt, instead of actually raising up one of those vessels and saying, okay, I'm ready for my Ace of Cups. I'm ready to receive love. And it begins with me first. I have to really love myself first. I have to really get back in touch with myself and what makes me happy first. And this is going to be the key, and you're going to land into that place of the Queen of Cups energy where you can actually start to like receive, receive, but it begins with you. And first you showing up for yourself and knowing that you're worthy of love and you're worthy of care and attention and appreciation, and that you want that. You're ready for that. And maybe you had yourself convinced in the past that, oh no, I have no desire to have that. I'm a lone wolf, just bringing in that wolf energy, there again that showed up in that card earlier. But you might really be realizing that you want that. And some of this may have involved healing around the mother, it may have been things that you picked up, that were struggles for your mother and how she viewed relationships or the types of relationships that she was in, and you kind of inherited, those beliefs, and you're realizing not everybody is your fucking mother if you're a man, okay? Or you're realizing that just because your mom put up with certain things doesn't mean you have to put up with certain things, and you really start to kind of like heal that, understand how your mom came to that place and why she was the way she was in relationship, but also understand that you can kind of be a link in healing. You can break those kind of patterns and you don't have to show up in that way, okay? And it was 29:09 on the clock when I said that, all right? So that's like 11:9 energy. It's like, yeah, the blessings in letting go of the dysfunctional patterns and these things that you picked up and learned in the family dynamic about what it meant to be in relationship, what it meant to be loved, or even your worthiness of being loved, okay? Because there's hope here. There's hope. and there will be love that comes in, and it really starts with you. And this is also Queen of Cups energy. This is associated with the water signs. So, you know, anybody could have these placements in their chart. It doesn't have to be a sun sign. It could be their moon sign. It could be their Venus placement, their north node. You know, it's kind of, you know, hard to know everybody's birth chart, right? But this is Pisces, uh, Cancer, Scorpio, or even you may have one of those signs strongly aspected in your chart, okay? And I'm going to do a part 2 for this reading because I'm about to run out of time on this video, and we'll just get that started and we'll finish up with this right here for you, okay? I'll be right back.